Technology Industry Association, ACS, has released its latest report into the importance of the digital economy to Australia's future. It shows digital tech adds around 6.5% to the nation's GDP and could employ up to 400,000 more people over the next 5 years. ACS CEO Andrew Johnson is here in our studio to take us through the findings and the way forward. Andrew, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Sam and Simon.
Great to have you join us. Now, one of the things that stood out in this, because I know one of the themes is reskilling, is that a worker who reskills could be earning an extra 10 grand a year from working in the tech industry. This sounds like in an era where wages growth is flat and we're wondering where our increase in productivity is going to come from, that technology is one of the great opportunities for Australia.
Absolutely, it's about setting aspirations. So that 100,000 is the average for an IT worker in Australia, and that 10,000 benchmark was compared to other professional services where the average is $90,000. So if you can upskill, you can make that jump an extra $10,000 a year.
Where do I sign? Look, I think the other important thing to note in this is, as Deloitte Access Economics looked through the scenarios, they sort of said that we're sitting at around about 770,000 employees in 2019. They can see that growing to get to about 1 million in 2027, but that's slow standard growth. And the point that they make is that we're falling behind in the process countries like the UK. What do we need to do to up the ante on this? We need to double the 30,000 a year to 60,000 to sort of maintain our pace.
I guess that is the really $60 million question. 156,000 IT workers needed in Australia by 2025. The UK was used as the comparable benchmark. So if we were to have the same amount of workers in Australia as compared to the UK percentage of the entire workforce, we'd need that extra 388,000. Now that's a phenomenal number, and in an environment where our international borders have closed, we've lost about 35,000 workers from the tech industry in the May to through the December period. That's from people not travelling, not having international students and the like. So that's a really big number, and the only way to do it is to reskill our current population. I think when you look at all the government initiatives at the moment, they've been put into displaced workers, which makes perfect sense. How do you help people move back into the labour market? But in an environment where jobs are shrinking, it's good to be trained, but if you don't get to practice those skills straight away, you're going to lose that mastery that you've just absorbed. So a really key point is for government to invest in reskilling the existing workforce, so providing direct financial support to employers so they can train their existing workers and create new jobs.
And if we see this kind of support, you think that it's achievable to grow the tech workforce by up to 400,000 by 2025?
It's about how do you prioritise. So it's still a big number, but it's not going to get there by itself. So it definitely needs a key focus.
Now, the report, I think, also pointed out that the workforce in the industry grew by about 6.8% from 2018 to 2019. What kind of number do you think we're going to see for 2020? I guess it's a year where we've seen great adoption of tech, but do you think we could actually see a bit of a decline due to the loss of overseas workers?
So definitely it's going to dip for the next 9 to 12 months. But that's because the supply is not there. In terms of which areas are going to lift quicker, then certainly technology will. If we look at our small businesses, the way they've needed to move to contactless payments, the need to move more products and services online and sort of automate their logistics and supply, that's where the focus is and a lot of investments going. So we'll see that ramp up very quickly.
One of the things that they talk about with the UK, I think, was that 9% of the workforce is in the tech sector. Where does Australia sit by comparison in terms of its tech industry? Because I know you're passionate about exports, and we have great export potential from Australian tech, but we're focused on minerals and things like that, which don't employ nearly as many people. So one of your arguments is that if we employ people in the tech industry, we not only get the export benefit, but we get more people working.
That's right, it's about 5% at the moment, so almost half of what happens in the UK. Obviously a smaller geography and it's easier to upskill people quickly, but this definitely is the area where growth will occur and where higher paying jobs will be available in the future.
It's quite a wide description, digital economy. Where do you think the greatest opportunities are to see this jobs growth over the short term? What parts of the sector?
So I think all businesses need to be investing in automation in order to lower their cost of delivery, make sure that they're more competitive with our overseas competitors, particularly in an environment where people aren't as mobile. So it's going to go right throughout the entire supply chain. Yes, our mining industry is highly competitive and very efficient, but professional services, education, retail, hospitality, there's lots of automation possibilities in those areas.
Where would you say that our current strengths are, and what particular part of the industry is employing the most people at the moment?
So banking and finance has always had a good proportion of digital workers, but again in the report it identifies that ICT services exports grew to almost $1 billion in the previous 12 months, up to $4.69 billion, so relatively a small base. But the important one, when we start to talk about trade and export opportunities, Simon, is our net surplus went up to 770 million from a 500 base. So over 42% growth in just 12 months. More Australian companies are exporting. So we certainly see it's about participation more so. We've got some outstanding tech talent in Australia. It's about getting more tech startups involved, more people applying their skills, not as individual consultants, but building new companies.
But I think the other side of that equation too, and you make this point, is it's not just about guys in t-shirts with iPads. The digital infrastructure for small business is a really important part of this digital economy. And your argument is that the government needs to invest there around small business to help them, because they're going to retain most of the jobs. They're going to be the people who do most of the employment.
That's right. So we're pushing the idea of click-ready projects rather than shovel-ready. We've seen enough concrete.
Love it. Yep.
It's about digital infrastructure and making sure that all of our enterprises are more competitive.
All right. Well, Andrew Johnson, it's been great to have you on. Great to see this report. It's always a fascinating read when it comes out. And I know you're off to sort of reskill, go fishing a little bit. It's been great working with you at the ACS over so many years. Thanks for your time and your insights once again, and all the best with your future.
Great. Thanks, Simon. Thanks, Andrew.
Thanks, Andrew.